Welcome back, seniors, and welcome to the first Common App walkthrough video that we'll do this year. This is for the 2026-2027 application cycle. So go ahead and log into your Common App account. Remember that your Common App account should be set up using a personal email address, not your school email address. Using your school email address will cause some headaches later on down the road, so just make sure this is through your personal email address. And you'll come to a screen that looks like this. Now, you will not have this thing at the top that says this is a practice account. That's just for me. You have a few more little bells and whistles that I do not, but this will allow me to walk you through. You'll get, all of the information that you need. So we'll start off by just clicking over here to the left where it says My Common Application. And you'll see pretty quickly why it takes so long to fill out the Common App, because the more you click, the more things fill up for you to complete. So you click this, and now here you have all of these little sections that you need to complete. We're going to start this video with the profile. So you'll click this, and here you go, even more drop downs. Lots of stuff for you to fill out. So you're going to start with the easy stuff, your personal information. Your name, this is your legal name that it appears on like your legal documents like your birth certificate, your social security card, your driver's license, things like that. However, if there is a name that is not like if you go by a nickname and you would like colleges to know that and share and use that name to call you, then you certainly can. You can just click yes here and then type what you want them to call you. Then you're just going to fill it out accordingly. If you're a junior or a third or something like that, you have options here for that. If not, you can just leave that blank. Notice it is not required because not everyone is going to have a suffix as part of their legal name. None of you have like a maiden name, but if for some reason you had a former legal name, for example, like if you got your name legally changed sometime in the past, then you could click yes and fill out the information accordingly. And then, of course, your date of birth. You can just click the little calendar and it'll take you to all of the options for entering your birth date. So that is really easy. Easiest part of the Common App. For those of you at CES, I would also say that this is the part that I want to make sure everyone has finished before we get to our Common App College Application Boot Camp on August 14th, where we will fill out a large part of the Common App altogether. But if you can come into that having your personal information section filled out, that would be great. And it can literally be just this page. You don't even have to do your address and all of this stuff. But if you want to work ahead, you certainly can. So let's go ahead and work through the next section together for those of you who really want to get a head start. Your address, you're just going to add your permanent home address. This is the address of the house or the apartment or the condo or whatever, where you actually live. So you're just going to type that in there and then click continue. It's going to want me to type this in. Let's say I will use, let's see, this is not my address, so don't get any ideas. Let's just make this up and say this is where we live. I do not live in Benton, Arkansas. All right, so you fill that out. If you have a different mailing address, then you would click that to a temporary address. Like if you, for some reason, want to get your mail at like a P.O. box or something, you can have that option. Then go ahead and click continue. Now for you guys, since you have a real account, when you fill in one section, you will get a really satisfactory green. This little circle will fill in green and you'll be like, yes, I have done a thing. I am so proud of myself. I have finished that part of the Common App. Sadly, the Common App does not give that to me because it's a practice account, but that will fill in for you guys. So you want your home phone number, your preferred phone number. If you would rather them call you on your mobile, let them know that. However you want people to contact you related to your Common App, just in case they need to for some reason, you're going to fill that in. your preferred phone number, and let them know if there is no other phone number you want to put in there, just click no other telephone. If you want to provide an alternate phone number, then you certainly can. And if you do, then you will get the option to do that. Okay. Now, demographics. This is where you fill out your gender, your legal sex, your preferred pronouns, all of those sorts of things. Just fill that out as it applies to you. Remember that legal sex and gender are not the same thing, especially when it comes to Common App. So if the legal sex as it is dictated by your, government documents like your birth certificate or whatever, you're going to fill that out there. Different states have different laws for this, so you're going to go by whatever the law is in that state. And then your gender, which may or may not be in line with whatever your legal sex is, so you click that. Your pronouns, if your preferred pronouns are not on the option, then you can click that and it'll give you another little drop down menu. None of the CES students are currently serving or have previously served in the armed forces, but one of your parents might. You might be a current dependent of someone in the armed forces, and so that might be an option. Most of you are going to have none, but the current dependent could be a possibility. If you are Hispanic or Latino, Latinx, or Latina, you clear that. Make sure you click that there. And then no matter how you answer this, they do like you to answer this. Notice that it is not starred red, so it's not like they're going to force you to answer it, but it does help them in data collection. And so you can click whatever is appropriate for you and then go ahead and click continue. And now we are to language, the number of languages you are proficient in. Now notice that proficient does not say fluent. If you are fluent in the language, like you guys are fluent in English, it's unusual for us to have a student at CES who is not fluent in English because most of our students are native English speakers, but that is not always the case. Sometimes we have a student visiting from another country, and so they might not be fluent in English. It just depends on the individual. Now, proficient, however, is comfortable communicating most of the time in that language. So, for example, if you have already taken all of the Spanishes and you're enrolling in AP Spanish Lit your senior year, and in AP Spanish Lang your junior year you scored a 4 or a 5 on that exam, and you're more than ready for AP Spanish Lit, you can absolutely include Spanish as a language that you are proficient in. So let's say that you are proficient in both your native born language and a second language like English and Spanish. Or, for example, if you were born and spent the first several years of your life in, Thailand, and you are fluent in Thai and also English because you moved here as a child, then you would want to claim both of those languages. So let's say you're fluent in 2 languages. You're going to click 2 and see, there you go. Here are your options. They've given you options to show how proficient are you in that language. So for me, my first language would be English. So I would click English and I would say that it was my first language. Back when I was in high school, I was fairly proficient in French. I have since lost that. It really is true. If you don't use it, you really do lose it. So let me scroll down to French, and high school Miss Todd would have been able to read it and write it, but I wasn't as great at speaking it, and it definitely wasn't spoken at home, and it was not my first language. Okay? So when you're done with that, just click continue. And then we have geography and nationality. So what country were you born in? What city were you born in? the number of years that you have lived in the United States. So if you were born and raised in the US and you have never lived elsewhere, then that's going to be equal to however old you are. If, again, like in the example of someone who was born in another country and came to the US as a child, then you need to just do the math. And then, of course, your citizenship status. For most of our students at CES, that's going to be U.S. citizen or U.S. national, but that is not always the case. Sometimes we do have students that fit one of the other descriptors here, and so you would just click whichever one makes sense for you, whichever one is your legal definition. So since most of you are U.S. citizens, once you click that, it's going to ask you for your Social Security number. Notice this is also, this right here is required. This one is not required. I will tell you that if you have any desire to apply for financial aid of any kind at any of your colleges, you are going to want to put your Social Security number in there, because the first thing you'll have to do in order to be considered for financial aid is to fill out the FAFSA. Even if you know you're not going to get any grants, even if you know your parents make too much money for need-based aid, many colleges are going to require you to fill out the FAFSA in order for them to give you scholarships that are merit-based, based on your grades, based on your test scores, things like that. So if you think scholarships might be nice, chances are you are going to have to start with the FAFSA. That would require you to have your Social Security number here. So make sure you have that with you. And then click Continue. Now we are at the Common App fee waiver section. Again, most of the students at CES do not qualify for a Common App fee waiver, but every year we do usually have like one or two students who could qualify for a Common App fee waiver. Read through these options, and if any of those apply to you, then you might, and in which case you would come down here and you would click the appropriate box and move on from that. If you are not sure whether any of these apply to you, just let me know. I can help you figure that out and we can move on from there. Okay? And then once you are done with that, it is going to let you finish this section and move you on to the next, which says family. The only thing in family is just the household. It basically is asking you, are you still dependent on your parents or are you on your own? It is very rare for a student at CES to be on their own. All of you are still dependent on your parents. You're not married. You don't have children of your own. You're not living in a separate household by yourself or with a spouse or a fiance or anything like that. You're not legally emancipated. You're not in foster care. Any of those things would maybe qualify you as being an independent student. But again, that doesn't really apply to the vast majority of our students. So, do any of these statuses apply to you? If you have questions about whether they do or not, please let me know, and I can help you out with that. Now, we're going to stop this video here with the profile and the family, and then I'll pick back up with a separate video where I'll take you through the next steps. So in the meantime, I am really looking forward to walking you guys through all of your application process this year. I'm super excited to be back on campus with all of you and helping you navigate your college search and application journeys. This is going to be a wonderful year. Tune back in next time for more Common App tips, and we'll tackle this together. Have a great one.